His flagship casino towers over everything in sight. Not far away, there's an avenue named after him. And then there's the ferry service he built, the airport he partly funded, and the myriad property projects in which he's invested. Many people would say Stanley Ho is Macau.
We still don't know the extent of his land holding in Macau. In terms of local people, they call him Mr. Ho, Ho Sang, Mr. Ho, and they look up to him. He's basically it. He's probably positioned at a higher level than the chief executive because Stanley Ho has outlasted all of them.
Ho is best known for his casinos in Macau, the world's largest gambling hub. Macau raked in 4 times the gambling revenue of the entire Las Vegas Strip last year, fueled by rich Chinese gamblers. For more than 4 decades, no single person has held greater sway over the Macau casino industry than Stanley Ho. But recently, the ailing 89-year-old billionaire has been caught up in a very public war with his sprawling family for control of his fortune. And everyone, from Hong Kong to New York, has watched the messy drama unfold. Speculation about who would inherit control of the casino empire started 2 years ago. Ho put together what looked like a succession plan and divvied up pieces of his business to his various children. But things began to unravel. In January 2011, he launched a lawsuit against the children of his second and third wives, accusing them of colluding against him to steal his casino company. Around the same time, he vowed on television that he would resolve the dispute out of court. A few days later, he dropped the lawsuit, but in another bizarre turn of events, his lawyer claimed that Ho had been coerced to withdraw. The erratic moves called into question the mental competency of Ho, who has been confined to a wheelchair since having brain surgery in 2009. In March, the family finally reached an agreement that leaves Ho's 4th wife, Angela Leong, with a bigger stake in his casino business, bolstering her influence over the multi-billion-dollar enterprise. The bitter dispute may finally be coming to an end, and with it, the end of an era. As a young man, Stanley Ho left Japanese-occupied Hong Kong during World War II with only $10 in his pocket and headed to nearby, neutral Macau. He bartered machinery and shipping supplies for food from the Japanese army and earned his first million by the end of the war. In the 1960s, he won monopoly rights to run casinos in Macau.
I would say that the STDM was the company that came to Macau at the right time and with the right attitude, with a very aggressive entrepreneurial spirit, with the idea of doing many things, because they saw a market, they saw a potential that could be developed, and the investments were made and it paid off.
Eventually, his empire grew to include everything from hotels and property to a television station and a sports dome.
There was one March, a lot of big companies in Macau, they will have their annual shareholder meetings in March. And so I've been reporting that. And then I found that every day I see him once. And then he will come out and speak for that company. And so that's the dog racing company, horse racing company, TV station, and everything. And suddenly I start to think, okay, this is so unhealthy for one person to own such many things.
Several years after the Chinese took Macau back from the Portuguese in 1999, the government decided to break up Ho's casino monopoly and allow in foreign competitors like casino giants Steve Wynn and Sheldon Adelson. But Ho's enterprise continued to thrive. His company still accounts for about 30% of Macau's gambling revenue. Ho was just as ambitious in his personal life. He has 16 known surviving children from 4 different women, all of whom he has called his wives. The unusual family tree also complicated his plan to divide up his casino holdings.
I think he was too confident that he's really controlling the 4 wives. I guess so. I think, if not, and then he should handle that case much earlier and then, more smoothly.
With so much money at stake, conflict was probably inevitable, especially since some members of Ho's family had become powerful forces in their own right. After Ho started to divide up his business, each faction started to wage public campaigns for a larger piece of the Ho inheritance. The battle focused on the obscure holding company where Stanley Ho kept much of his assets, including part of his casino empire. Pansy Ho, the oldest child of Ho's second wife, became the most prominent member of one faction. Pansy runs Shuntak, a property, transportation, and hotel conglomerate. She is also in a casino joint venture with Las Vegas-based gaming giant MGM Resorts International. She wanted the holding company split between her branch of the family and Mr. Ho's third wife, Ina Chan. Before the fight over Ho's fortune, she kept a low profile. Now it appeared she could be set to inherit a huge chunk of the gambling empire. She followed Pansy's lead. Other family members had much to gain as well, including Lawrence Ho, Pansy's brother and Ho's oldest surviving son, the person traditionally considered the heir in an Asian patriarchal system. But he stayed out of the headlines. And then there was Angela Leong, Stanley Ho's fourth wife and an executive in his gambling enterprise. She's also head of Macau's Association of Junket Operators, who bring in high rollers to casino VIP rooms. VIPs account for about 3/4 of Macau's gambling, and that's no small sum. Analysts say total revenue in the territory could hit $30 billion in 2011. At the time, a lawyer said Stanley Ho wanted the shares of the holding company to be split up equally among all four families. That would also have increased Leong's control of the casino operation. The settlement was kind to Angela Leong. She now has an effective 12% financial interest in Ho's casino company, compared to 8% earlier, and has assurances she will remain on SJM's board. Analysts say the agreement consolidates her hold on the company despite her rival's challenges. But even Ms. Leong was careful about declaring the dispute resolved. In an interview, she said the matter had been settled, for now. For the past decade, investors have worried about how the Ho family would cooperate once the patriarch was out of the picture, and the recent spat hasn't helped. Now, they can only hope the family will preserve what Ho built, even if they fight while doing so. For the Wall Street Journal, this is Kate O'Keefe in Macau.